BodyPaint is both a built-in part of Cinema 4D as well as a standalone application. It is a 3D painting and texture mapping program that allows you to paint surfaces on objects right in your 3D scene in real time. It's used by a wide variety of artists to create seamless organic textures on the surfaces of very complex models. It has a layering system that's very similar to Photoshop with the same blending modes. It can even open and save Photoshop files natively. It also has the ability to manipulate something called a UV map. Now, UVs are a way for a 3D application to describe the surface of an object. You'll hear me use the term UVW, and UVW really stands for X, Y, and Z. But when the programmers were creating the code for the application, they needed a way to distinguish between the X, Y, Z of the world that you were working in and the surface of the object. And so they chose UVW as the letters that they would use for that. So UVs, when you hear the term UV map, it's a way for the computer to assign the polygons of your model to a flat plane that can be then manipulated. So I've got a very simple model of a starfish. And if I select it, it's basically just a cylinder that I started with and then modeled underneath a hypernerve to give the 5 legs. And what I've done is created a layered texture map for this starfish using BodyPaint ahead of time. And if you look at the basic properties of the material, it has the color channel, the specular channel, and bump channel. And in those channels are TIFF files, and those TIFF files were painted using BodyPaint. Now, if we look at the individual TIFF files, you can see the areas that I painted on. And those areas that I painted on in the TIFF file correspond to the geometry of the starfish. Now, BodyPaint has its own totally separate layout. We're looking at the standard layout for Cinema 4D right now, but if we click on the layout button, we can go to the BodyPaint 3D Paint layout. And when I let go of that, it's reset both the palettes and the menus of Cinema 4D. Now, other layouts, they just reset the actual palettes, but the BodyPaint 3D and the BodyPaint UV Edit layout, those things reset the menus as well. And you can see that we have a different menu structure across the top here, as well as the fact that all the icons are different. So when I'm in this layout now, I have the ability to look at and manipulate the UVs of this object, as well as accessing all the paint tools. Make sure that you have the material selected in the Material Manager, otherwise you'll see a gray window here in the Texture view. So under the Texture tab here at the top left of the screen, if I click on that, I'm going to use the number 2 key with the left mouse button to zoom in on this texture. So what we're seeing here is the painted color channel. And I can tell it's the color channel because in the Layers options, I'm looking at the Starfish Color TIFF file. The Materials palette, you'll notice, has also changed. And it doesn't show me the materials as individual icons anymore. It shows them in a list. And not only does it show them in a list, but it shows them with the individual channels that they have assigned. And I'm painting in the color channel right now because the color channel is active. So I can look at this now and see, well, how did I know where to paint? That's because of the UV map. And if I go to the UV mesh menu and tell it to show the UV mesh, you see now there's a selection of polygons on my object, and they correspond to where I was painting. And these polygons all match up exactly to the surface of the starfish. So this is the top of the starfish here, and this is the bottom of the starfish, and these are the sides of each of the legs. So BodyPaint has the ability to generate and manipulate these UVs so that you can optimize the painting to make painting on the surface of the object really, really easy. Now, it's got its own set of brushes, and there's a wide variety of brushes. If I click that open, I'll go to one of the standard brushes. You've got a bunch of standard brushes that look very much like Photoshop brushes, and plus you've got a wide variety of texture-based brushes as well. And I'll go to some of the artist brushes. These all ship with BodyPaint. And if you twirl open these guys, and I'll click on that, and you can see there's a wide variety of actual texture brushes as well. And when I click on that brush, and if I go over to the brush tool here, I can see the properties for that brush. If I were to paint, it would paint that texture right here in the window. And when I paint that texture here, it shows up on the surface of my model over here. And you would see that that color is smeared around. The beautiful thing about BodyPaint is that you don't have to paint right there in the flat view. You can actually paint on the surface of the model. You can see as I paint on this model, it shows up here in the viewport and as well as in the texture view as well. And you can see I painted on that layer in the viewport. And now if you go back to the Layers palette, you'll see that BodyPaint has a layering system very similar to Photoshop, and it has layer blending modes that are all exactly the same as Photoshop. So you have the ability to open and save out Photoshop files natively right here in the application. BodyPaint can seem pretty intimidating, and in fact it is an entire application all to itself. But in this chapter, I'm going to show you the essential tools you need to make working with BodyPaint a lot easier.